You honestly will not believe that a gym Karen actually demanded the manager ban all grunting because she called it verbal assault. We have tracked down the 49 most unhinged and ridiculous demands that prove entitlement has reached a new all-time high. Smash that like button and subscribe right now, or a Karen will confiscate your membership for sweating too close to her designer bag. So let's dive straight into the madness. 1. A frantic middle-aged woman marched up to the front desk with a face like thunder to demand an immediate ban on all metal dumbbells. She claimed the clinking noise of iron hitting iron was severely triggering her anxiety and disrupting her spiritual alignment during bicep curls. 3. The poor gym manager tried to explain that heavy things make noise, but she refused to listen. She insisted they replace every weight with silent rubber immediately to protect her fragile aura. The bodybuilders in the back just stared in confusion while she threatened to sue the gym for noise pollution caused by the terrifying sound of gains. 2. A wealthy woman in designer activewear stopped the entire cardio section by pulling red velvet ropes out of her huge gym bag. She proceeded to cordon off a wide perimeter around her treadmill because she believed other people breathing near her would spread peasant germs. When a confused teenager tried to walk past her barrier to get water, she screamed that he was violating her personal airspace. She told the staff she required a 10-foot radius of sterility so she could walk at a leisurely pace without inhaling commoner oxygen. The staff just watched in shock as she sprayed air freshener at anyone who dared to look. 3. A young powerlifter was setting a new personal record on the squat rack when a middle-aged woman stormed over with a clipboard. She screamed that his effort noises were actually a form of verbal assault against her delicate ears. The gym manager tried to explain that lifting 400 pounds requires some breathing, but she demanded the police be called immediately. She insisted that silence was mandatory for a safe space and told a stunned crowd that heavy breathing was aggressive behavior. The entire weight room stopped to watch as she tried to legally trespass a guy for making a sound while lifting a car. 4. A college student was in the middle of a shoulder press set when a frantic older woman physically grabbed the weight from his hand. She shrieked finders keepers and tried to run away with the 30-pound dumbbell clutched to her chest. The confused guy just stood there with one arm up, while she argued that since he paused for a second, he had legally abandoned the property. She told the staff that possession is 9/10 of the law and refused to return it. Everyone looked on in horror as she tried to curl the stolen weight while claiming she had rescued it. 5. A fitness influencer with a camera crew caused a massive scene by demanding the gym cover all the mirrors with heavy drapes. She claimed that seeing her own reflection while squatting made her feel objectified and uncomfortable in her own skin. The confused janitor was told to tape paper over the glass because her own gaze was too intense. She argued that the mirrors were designed to oppress her by forcing her to look at her outfit. The other patrons laughed as she tried to work out blindfolded to avoid the trauma of seeing herself in the mirror, which defeated the whole purpose. 6. A shivering woman in a tiny sports bra marched into the manager office to file a complaint about the air conditioning being sexist. She insisted the cold air was inherently masculine and designed to freeze women out of the fitness industry. She demanded they install a special female-friendly climate control system that kept the room at a tropical 80 degrees. The sweaty bodybuilders nearby looked ready to faint, but she refused to budge on her temperature demands. She told the staff that shivering burned calories she wanted to keep and threatened to sue the gym for gender-based thermal discrimination. 7. An entitled mother with 3 kids entered the weight room and immediately dumped her groceries and designer purses on 2 flat benches. When a serious lifter asked to use the bench, she hissed that this was now the designated Karen corner. She told the staff she needed a safe zone for her expensive leather goods and that the floor was full of germs. She demanded they build a raised platform just for her accessories so she could do yoga nearby without worry. The gym goers watched in disbelief as she guarded her shopping bags like they were gold bars while people waited to lift. 8. A dramatic older lady started gagging loudly near the juice bar and demanded every protein shake be thrown in the trash immediately. She claimed the smell of chocolate whey powder triggered deep emotional trauma because it reminded her of her cheating ex-husband. The poor employee behind the counter tried to explain it was just vanilla bean, but she swatted the cup away. She insisted the gym become a protein-free zone to protect her mental health and fragile heart. A massive bodybuilder drinking his post-workout meal just stared as she wept over the scent of artificial sweeteners and strawberry flavoring. 9. A young woman in matching neon gear stopped the entire deadlift platform to lecture the owner about the color scheme of the equipment. She demanded that all rusty metal barbells be replaced with soft pink ones because heavy iron colors were intimidating to women. She argued that the black plates looked too aggressive and created a hostile environment for soft aesthetics. The veteran lifters watching her were confused when she pulled out a can of spray paint to fix the problem herself. She insisted that if the weights looked cute, she would lift more and refused to touch anything that looked too heavy. 10. A frantic teenager ran to the front desk to report a serious crime happening in the free weight section right that second. He claimed a man was hogging the mirror by selfishly using it to check his squat form instead of letting him take selfies. The staff member followed him back to find a confused powerlifter just trying to keep his back straight during a set. The teen argued that mirrors are for content creation and not for actual exercise corrections. He demanded the man be banned for blocking his lighting and ruining his daily social media post with his workout. 11. A paranoid woman stopped a professional bodybuilder mid-set to demand he delete all footage on his phone immediately. She insisted that nobody could film their own workout without her signed written approval in triplicate. The confused guy explained she wasn't even in the frame, but she claimed her aura was captured. She told the manager that her image rights were worth millions and threatened to sue the gym for copyright infringement. The entire gym watched as she tried to confiscate his tripod while screaming about the paparazzi stalking her, despite being completely unknown to every single person in the room. 12. A frantic older lady set up a checkpoint at the turnstiles and started sniffing everyone who tried to enter. She demanded the staff implement a mandatory deodorant check for every single member before they could touch the weights. She claimed her sensitive nose could detect cheap antiperspirant and refused to let a teenager pass until he reapplied her specific brand. The manager had to physically move her away as she tried to spray a random dad with cologne against his will. She argued that smelling sweat in a gym was a violation of her basic human rights and dignity. 13. An aspiring influencer with a massive ring light screamed at an old man for walking through the locker room hallway. She demanded the manager tape off a 10-foot no photobombing zone around her specifically for her TikTok dances. She argued that people walking in the background were stealing her engagement and ruining her aesthetic vibe. The poor grandpa just wanted to get his towel, but she blocked his path with a tripod. She insisted the gym was a content studio first and a place to exercise second, while everyone else rolled their eyes in total disbelief at her audacity. 14. A woman in flowing yoga pants marched into the powerlifting section to shut down the deadlift platform permanently. She told the guys dropping heavy weights that the loud thud was scaring her delicate inner child. She claimed the noise vibration disrupted her chakras and demanded everyone lower the weights silently like feathers. The powerlifters stared in confusion as she tried to put pillows under the 400-pound plates to dampen the sound. She insisted that aggressive gravity was a form of toxic behavior and started crying because the floor shook when the weights hit the ground. 15. A busy mom ran into the stretching area and yanked a yoga mat right out from under a meditating student. She told the shocked girl that she needed 2 mats because she was supersetting her relaxation time. The student tried to explain she was currently using it, but the woman refused to listen to reason. She argued that her membership was older, so she had priority over all floor equipment. The staff had to intervene as she tried to build a fortress of foam mats to create a soft island for her nap, while others waited patiently. 16. A lonely older woman complained to the front desk that nobody was replying to her comments about the weather. She demanded a total ban on all headphones and earbuds because ignoring her was incredibly rude behavior. She argued that the gym was a social club and noise-canceling technology was destroying community spirit. The guys on the treadmills pretended not to hear her, while she waved her hands in their faces. She insisted the manager force everyone to talk to her for at least 5 minutes or face an immediate membership suspension for being antisocial and arrogant. 17. A health-obsessed woman wearing 3 masks interrupted a spin class to inspect the ventilation ducts. She demanded the gym install hospital-grade gluten-free air filters immediately because she felt unsafe. She claimed that sweat particles from other people might contain microscopic carbs that she would inhale by accident. The instructor stopped the music while she explained that secondhand breath was ruining her keto diet. She refused to take a deep breath until she saw the certification for the air conditioning units and threatened to hold her breath until she passed out from lack of oxygen. 18. A conservative mother shielded her son's eyes and marched straight to the manager to report the leg press machine. She screamed that the equipment was far too phallic and demanded its immediate removal from the gym floor. She argued that the angle of the seat was inappropriate and corrupted the minds of innocent youth. The confused bodybuilders using the machine just sat there awkwardly while she tried to cover it with a towel. She insisted they replace the best leg builder in the gym with something less suggestive, or she would call the local church group to protest outside. 19. A woman in a designer tracksuit pushed a teenager off the chest press machine without asking how many sets were left. She announced that waiting in line was not part of her premium membership agreement. She told the angry crowd that her time was more valuable than theirs, so she had instant priority access. The staff tried to explain that everyone pays the same dues, but she flashed a platinum credit card. She demanded a personal escort to clear machines for her arrival, so she never had to experience the indignity of standing still for 10 seconds like a normal person. 20. A bitter woman slammed her water bottle down and demanded a new rule banning anyone from mentioning their families. She claimed that hearing people talk about their kids or spouses as an excuse for being tired was pathetic. She insisted the gym be a strictly personal achievement zone where outside relationships did not exist. A dad talking about his son's soccer game was silenced when she shushed him aggressively. She told the manager that emotional baggage was heavier than the weights, and she refused to spot anyone who had pictures of their children on their phone screen. 21. An entitled teenager walked into the staff booth and physically unplugged the main sound system. She demanded the manager play her heartbreak playlist on loop because the upbeat cardio music was insensitive to her mood. The staff tried to explain that 500 people didn't want to listen to sad ballads while lifting. She screamed that she was the main character and the gym's soundtrack needed to match her emotional journey. Everyone stopped running as she tried to hijack the Bluetooth connection. She insisted that if the music didn't make her cry, then she couldn't get a good workout and threatened to leave a bad review. 22. A paranoid woman arrived with a stack of homemade laminated signs that read, "Do not look in my direction." She demanded the staff tape them to every machine surrounding her elliptical because eye contact was aggressive. She insisted the floor trainers patrol her area like bodyguards to catch anyone glancing her way. The confused guys nearby were staring at the floor to avoid trouble, but she accused them of looking at her shoes. She told the manager that peripheral vision was a violation of privacy. She wanted a cordon of blindness enforced so she could exercise in a total visual vacuum without being perceived by anyone. 23. A hygiene-obsessed lady stood over the foam roller bin with a bottle of industrial bleach spray. She screamed at a guy for touching a roller without scrubbing it for 5 minutes first. She claimed that because people sit on them, they were covered in invisible butt germs that would kill her. She demanded the gym hire a dedicated roller sanitizer to wipe them down after every single rotation. The poor guy just wanted to stretch his back, but she snatched the foam away. She insisted that shared equipment was a biohazard and refused to let anyone use the blue rollers until they were boiled in hot water. 24. A grumpy older woman slammed her hand on the reception desk because two friends were laughing near the water cooler. She demanded the gym implement a strict, serious, faces-only policy immediately. She argued that smiling burned unnecessary energy that should be used for lifting. She told the manager that joy was distracting and hearing happiness ruined her concentration. The friends fell silent as she pointed a finger in their faces. She insisted that the gym was a place of suffering, not amusement, and she wanted anyone caught giggling to be banned for life for disrespecting the iron and the gravity of the workout. 25. A wealthy housewife threw her sweaty towel on the floor and snapped her fingers at the cleaning crew. She demanded the gym provide a personal towel folding service because her hands were too tired from lifting 2-pound weights. The janitor looked confused, but she insisted that premium dues included valet laundry assistance. She argued that folding her own towel was manual labor beneath her station. The staff explained it was a self-service gym, but she refused to pick it up. She stood there waiting for a butler to appear and accused the management of forcing her to live like a peasant in a third world country. 26. A terrified woman shrieked at the top of her lungs and pointed at the CrossFit area. She demanded the heavy battle ropes be thrown in the dumpster because their wave-like motion resembled attacking snakes. The personal trainer stopped his class while she hyperventilated about reptiles. She claimed seeing them hit the floor triggered her primitive survival instincts and made her flight or fight response kick in. She insisted they replace the ropes with straight, stiff poles that didn't wiggle. The athletes watched in disbelief as she tried to attack the inanimate ropes with a yoga block to kill them before they could bite her ankles. 27. A fashion influencer in an all-beige outfit stopped a girl wearing a neon yellow shirt. She marched her to the front desk and demanded a rule against bright colors. She argued that the loud clothing was distracting people from admiring her perfectly curated neutral aesthetic. She told the manager that visual noise was just as bad as auditory noise. The girl in yellow stood there confused while the influencer tried to cover her with a gray hoodie. She insisted that everyone needed to dress in earth tones to maintain the Zen vibe and claimed that neon fabric was an assault on her good taste. 28. An older lady brought a wooden chair and a stack of romance novels into the sauna. She turned the heat dial all the way down and demanded the sweating men leave immediately. She insisted the room be converted into a quiet reading lounge because the lighting was perfect for her eyes. The guys in towels were freezing, but she refused to let them turn the heater back on. She argued that sweating was gross and humidity ruined the pages of her book. She told the staff that the sauna was wasted on heat and should be a sanctuary for literature and silence instead of perspiration. 29. A flushed woman dragged 3 industrial floor fans from around the gym and arranged them in a circle around her spin bike. She demanded the staff plug them all in because she was having a hot flash. When other members complained about the lack of airflow, she hissed like a cat. She insisted that her hormones took priority over the general population. The wind was so strong it blew a guy's hat off, but she wanted more power. She told the manager to buy 5 more fans exclusively for her station, or she would melt into a puddle and sue for heat stroke negligence. 30. A nervous girl stopped her workout and called the manager over to inspect the resistance bands. She complained that the rubber snapped back too aggressively and hurt her feelings. She demanded they all be replaced with soft velvet elastic bands that caress the skin. The manager explained that resistance is the whole point, but she shook her head. She argued that the rubber material was too harsh and abrasive for her sensitive lifestyle. She insisted on a gentler workout experience and refused to touch the latex again until it was covered in silk or cashmere to prevent any accidental stinging sensations. 31. A frantic older woman dialed 911 on her cell phone while hiding behind a squat rack. She told the operator that a group of large men were openly using white powder in the middle of the gym. The manager rushed over to explain it was just magnesium carbonate chalk for grip strength, but she refused to believe him. She insisted that the dust cloud looked incredibly suspicious and illegal. She demanded the police raid the facility immediately to arrest the powerlifters. The guys just stood there with white hands while she accused them of running a cartel from the deadlift platform. 32. A germaphobe in a plastic poncho taped a circle on the floor around the stair climber. She demanded the staff enforce a strict no heavy breathing bubble for 10 feet in every direction. She argued that panting cardio bunnies were expelling moisture that would land on her skin. When a runner next to her gasped for air, she screamed that he was launching biological projectiles. She insisted the manager install plexiglass shields between every machine. She told the crowd that anyone who couldn't run with their mouth shut should be banned for endangering her sterile personal environment. 33. A dieting woman had a complete meltdown in front of the lobby vending machine. She screamed at the receptionist to remove the Snickers bars because their presence was unfair entrapment. She claimed the gym was sabotaging her weight loss journey by selling chocolate within her line of sight. She demanded they stock only celery sticks and ice cubes to remove the temptation from her weak will. The staff tried to explain that other people like snacks, but she kicked the glass. She insisted that if she couldn't eat sugar, then nobody else in the building should be allowed to enjoy it either. 34. A vanity-obsessed lady marched into the weight room with a stepladder and a screwdriver. She tried to take down the large wall clock because she claimed watching the seconds pass caused her stress wrinkles. She told the manager that time pressure was aging her face prematurely and ruining her Botox. The interval trainers who needed the clock for their sets yelled at her to stop. She argued that a timeless environment was essential for eternal youth. She demanded all timekeeping devices be banned so she could work out in a state of ageless bliss without being reminded of her mortality. 35. A yoga enthusiast stormed out of the studio and pointed an accusing finger at the elderly janitor. She demanded he be fired on the spot because his mop bucket wheels squeaked too loudly during her shavasana. She claimed the rhythmic squeaking broke her deep meditative trance and ruined her spiritual alignment for the week. The poor man apologized, but she insisted his cleaning schedule was a personal attack on her peace. She told the manager that silence was more important than sanitation. She wanted the floors cleaned with a silent toothbrush or not cleaned at all while she was present. 36. A bitter woman with a stopwatch stood behind a group of girls in the locker room. She demanded the gym enforce a strict 60-second selfie limit for every member. She argued that mirror hogs were preventing her from checking her own hair and makeup. She aggressively clicked her timer and told the girls their vanity window had expired. The staff tried to intervene, but she started writing tickets on sticky notes. She insisted that narcissism should be regulated like parking spaces. She wanted a fine system introduced for anyone who took more than 3 photos in a single hour. 37. A woman wrinkled her nose at the spray bottle and slapped it out of a cleaner's hand. She demanded the gym switch exclusively to lavender-scented organic disinfectant immediately. She claimed the smell of industrial lemon cleaner was toxic masculinity in liquid form and gave her a headache. The janitor tried to explain that lavender doesn't kill staph bacteria, but she didn't care. She insisted that chemicals were poison and the gym should smell like a French meadow. She told the manager she would bring her own essential oils and bill the gym for the cost of her aromatherapy service. 38. A safety-obsessed mother stopped a kettlebell class by blowing a loud referee whistle. She demanded that all swinging weights be retrofitted with built-in warning sirens to alert bystanders. She argued that iron balls moving through the air were silent killers waiting to strike. The instructor looked at her like she was crazy, but she stood her ground. She insisted that every rep should be accompanied by a beep like a reversing truck. She told the class she would not leave until they agreed to tape air horns to the equipment to prevent accidental collisions. 39. A high-maintenance woman walked around the gym floor, holding her expensive Hermes bag above her head. She demanded the manager build a raised bag parking platform immediately because the rubber floor was filthy. She screamed that putting her designer leather on the ground was an act of sacrilege. The staff offered her a locker, but she refused to hide her status symbol. She insisted on a velvet-lined pedestal right next to the squat rack. She told the bewildered lifters that her purse cost more than their cars and deserved its own throne to keep it safe from dust and peasants. 40. A grumpy woman snatched a water bottle from a bored teenager who was flipping it on a bench. She demanded a total ban on bottle flipping because it reminded her of trends she hated from 5 years ago. She claimed the repetitive thud triggered her migraine and showed a lack of focus. The teen tried to apologize, but she threw the bottle in the trash. She insisted the gym was for serious adults, not childish games. She told the manager to confiscate all plastic bottles and force members to use sippy cups if they couldn't. Stop playing with their hydration. 41. A wealthy woman in high heels walked up to the squat rack and refused to lift a single pound. She demanded the manager install NASA-grade anti-gravity machines immediately because regular gravity was too painful. She claimed her legs were already exhausted from 6 hours of shopping and heavy squats were abusive to her joints. The trainer explained that resistance is necessary for muscle growth, but she rolled her eyes. She insisted that she wanted the results of squatting without the feeling of weight. She told the staff she would sue Isaac Newton for inventing gravity if they didn't provide a floating chamber for her leg day. 42. A short woman brought a tape measure to the pull-up bar and started screaming about discrimination. She demanded the bars be lowered to 4 feet because the current height was deliberately excluding short queens. She argued that having to jump to reach the bar was a microaggression against petite. People. The tall guys using the rig tried to explain they would hit their knees on the floor, but she didn't care. She insisted the gym was designed by giants to mock her stature. She told the manager to saw the legs off the station immediately or provide her with a personal golden staircase to reach the top. 43. A solitary woman stopped her elliptical workout and marched over to a personal trainer who was encouraging his client. She demanded the gym build soundproof walls around her machine because hearing motivational quotes made her nauseous. She claimed that phrases like "no pain, no gain" were toxic positivity and ruined her pessimistic vibe. The trainer apologized for doing his job, but she covered her ears. She insisted that other people's enthusiasm was a form of noise pollution. She told the manager she wanted a cone of silence so she could exercise in misery without being forced to hear people achieving their goals. 44. A competitive woman stopped a guy on the chest press and told him he was moving too fast. She demanded a new rule stating that nobody could finish their set before she finished hers. She argued that seeing people complete their reps quickly made her feel slow and inadequate. The confused guy just wanted to go home, but she blocked his path. She insisted that the entire gym synchronize their reps to her pace to protect her fragile ego. She told the staff that anyone lifting faster than her was showing off and should be penalized for speed and efficiency. 45. A dramatic girl with long hair burst into tears at the front desk because her elastic band snapped. She demanded the gym provide unlimited complimentary designer hair ties to every female member. She argued that it was systematically unfair to expect women to remember their own accessories. The receptionist offered her a rubber band, but she threw it on the floor in disgust. She insisted that a loose ponytail was a safety hazard that prevented her from working out. She told the manager that if they didn't stock silk scrunchies immediately, she would report them for negligence and hair discrimination. 46. A perfectly made-up woman pointed an umbrella at the ceiling and started screaming at the fans. She demanded every single fan be turned off permanently because the wind was ruining her contour. She claimed the artificial breeze was drying out her setting spray and making her look old. The sweating runners begged to keep the air on, but she refused to compromise. She insisted that looking good was more important than not passing out from heat stroke. She told the staff that if her mascara ran because of their wind turbulence, she would send them the bill for her makeup artist. 47. A fragile woman covered her eyes and ran to the manager office to report a bodybuilder. She demanded a strict no-flexing policy for all bathroom and gym floor mirrors. She argued that seeing muscles contract was an act of intimidation that made her feel small. The guy was just checking his progress, but she called it visual bullying. She insisted that mirrors should be for checking teeth only and not for vanity. She told the staff that anyone with biceps larger than hers should be forced to wear long sleeves to prevent triggering her insecurity about her own lack of gains. 48. A woman trying to meditate in the lobby marched over to the smoothie bar and unplugged the blender mid-spin. She demanded the employee invent a silent blender immediately because the whirring noise was aggressive. She claimed the sound of crushing ice disrupted her zen and vibrated her brain in a bad way. The line of thirsty customers yelled at her to move, but she stood guard over the outlet. She insisted that nutrition should be silent. She told the manager to crush the fruit by hand with a mortar and pestle, or shut down the juice bar until technology caught up with her needs. 49. An arrogant woman wearing a VIP badge she made herself blocked the main entrance doors. She demanded the entire facility close for 1 hour every day at peak time for her exclusive use. She claimed she needed the whole floor empty for her power walk to avoid bumping into commoners. The crowd of people waiting to get in started shouting, but she checked her watch. She insisted that her membership fees paid their salaries, so she owned the place. She told the manager to evict everyone immediately so she could strut on the treadmills in total privacy like the queen she thought she was. And there you have it. I honestly need a recovery day just processing that level of delusion. From demanding anti-gravity machines to banning heavy breathing, these gym Karens are officially lifting way above their weight class in entitlement. If you enjoyed watching us roast this insanity, do not forget to smash that like button and subscribe to Brain Fumble right now. Turn on those notifications so you never miss the fun. Now I have to ask, which one of these nightmare demands would make you cancel your membership instantly? Was it the silent dumbbells or the VIP power walk? Let me know in the comments below.